Let's go. Let's go. We're back with another breakdown. Um, I've been traveling. I'm in New York City right now. Usually was at home, my home office in Atlanta, Georgia. Currently live in Atlanta, of course. So I've been traveling, so I wasn't able to provide you guys with a Sunday breakdown. So this is the midweek breakdown on Wednesday. So we gonna start with US30. I don't know if it's I'm loud enough or not, but it's New York, baby. The train is going in the background. But hey, let's wait for the train to go. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we did have a previous break of resistance right here. Had a previous break of resistance that now made a new high point that tested this resistance that was on this side. And price then came down, made a somewhat of a lower high point, and now it looks like price is continuing bullish, right? So we can go down to the smaller time frame, such as H4, and we see here that price never, maybe we could delete that. Price didn't break the support right here, right? Where break of support is usually bearish, bearish, but we got bullish, bullish. We got bearish, bullish, doji, bullish. So it's just tested, right? So if we slap on a fib on the daily time frame, let's track this counter trend. So this is from point A to point B. This was 23.6 retrace, right? 23.6 retracement is just a continuation for the uptrend, right? So we see that US30 currently right now has a lot of bullish momentum and it's just gonna push higher, right? So we go back down to H4 time frame. So we can mark off this lower high point right here. It's kind of sloppy. US30 been sloppy as of lately, but let's go back to the daily time frame so we can make this visible on H4 time frame. Um, yeah. So this was the low high point for the H4 time frame, right? In the daily time frame. We now see we had a consolidation zone right here. This was just a big ass consolidation zone. Um, so this was just a big consolidation zone and price is just consolidating, right? So I don't see a trade at the moment right now, but now on the H1 time frame that we can see price made a lower high point on the H1 time frame that can show support our bias for bullish momentum, right? So even if you would have took advantage of this trade, you will want to wait for a break of this high point right here from this candle, right? You want to wait for a break of that candle. So you would have took advantage from bearish, bullish, 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 right? And you can easily take a trade from here. I already have pre-made stop loss for 100 points and aim for 1 to 3. So this would have been a good 1 to 3. But being that it was a sloppy trade, I wasn't really focused on US30 at the moment, and I did not get in, right? But that's something you could look out for. So right now, if you want to continue this trend to continue this bullish trend to find a trade, you'll wait for price to make a resistance up here, and you'll be able to stop on a fib, point A to point B. Wait for the retracement where you see confluence around this area. There's confluence around this area where if you look left where it was a resistance, it broke. It came back, tested it again as a resistance, made a resistance, came back, made a lower high point, and now we're above this resistance zone, right? So you can wait for price to come back, test this same zone to then continue bullish, right? And that is the outlook for US30. I personally would not be trading US30 at the moment, or maybe I would, if I get something, if I get that retrace that I'm looking for, I can possibly take that trade, but I want to wait for a resistance to be created somewhat in this area and then wait for the pullback to then get in for a trade, right? Let's move on to NASDAQ. NASDAQ, similar trend, similar everything, always moves. Both of them move the same, right? It moves similar, not the same. Um, Same H1 time frame. See confluence in this area. You see it already created a resistance. So you can slap on your fib, point A to point B, wait for a retracement, Maybe it might stay at 23.6. Maybe it might retrace to 61.8. And it might and it might retest the same resistance zone that we have here on the daily, right? So we might get a retest of this daily resistance to then continue to push it, right? Also you see this lower high point here on the H4 time frame. That's all bullish momentum. So wait for a retrace to pull back to then continue bullish. That's something I will be looking for more on NASDAQ. Being that is just more of a cleaner structure. So yeah. Let's move on to gold. Gold, let's go back on a daily time frame. Okay. Let's get rid of this. So on the daily time frame, we see that from the last breakdown we did, we see that price made a resistance, broke it, and it was kind of sloppy retracement, but it did retrace and it retested the support. I mean, this resistance and now turned support. And now price is pushing towards our negative 27% for TP on the daily time frame, right? Let's go to the H4 time frame. New York City. It's always noisy, man. Noisy. Yeah, so on the H4 time frame, we had the retracement, 50% retracement, that we had another lower high point right here that was indicating that price wanted to continue bullish and get back into that main trend. So we have a high point here, and now we're having another high low point being created somewhere here, right? You'll want to wait for price to solidify this lower high point, right? We could go down to, so we could pick up this fib. We could go down to the H1 time frame, see more data. So we can slap on fib point A to point B, and we're at 38.2%, right? So we want to wait for at least H4. Well, H4 already made a support, so it already made a support. It already made a already made a support zone. So you want to wait for maybe London session. Hold on. Noise again, baby. Welcome to New York City. Oh man. So yeah, you want to wait for London session to pre-New York session to wait for some volume to get into the market, and you could ride this trend even on the M15 time frame, right? We could wait for a break of this resistance here. Wait for a push, somewhat of a high low point, to then continue bullish. Excuse me. The pullback might not be this steep, and maybe, but you just want to break a resistance to then solidify bullish trend, but bullish momentum. Wait for a high low point to be formed and to continue and ride that trend to the negative 27% TP1. Right. And mark up this zone right here, negative 27%. Make this zone green. Make this green. So that's TP, right? So you want to just, wait for some volume in the market. Like I said, pre-New York, maybe London session, maybe even New York session, it might push, right? So let's move on to UJ. I remember last week we said we can either get a small little pullback, right, that we never got, or we could get a big push and a big pullback, right? So we got the big push, right? And now we got the big pullback, right? So let's get rid of this first. Let's get rid of this. All right, so we got the big push, we got the big pullback, right? Or slap on a fib. Just look more cleaner on H4 time frame. So we got a break of this resistance right here, right? Indicating bullish structure, pullback, 88.6, 78.6 retracement. And now we're riding this trend. I'm currently in this trade. I currently have a trade of, where's the price? Price is at, where did I get in? What's my other phone? I don't have price right now, but price, I got in somewhere down here though. I'm somewhere, I think I got in, let's see, London section, or yeah, I think I woke up like somewhere around here. So I'm in right here. So I have one position right here. and I'm targeting negative 27%. And then I got another position at the break of this resistance right here, right? So this was a break of resistance right here, and I have another position somewhere up here. All right. I know this stop loss is kind of far, but this is just scaling position, and I'm targeting negative 27% on the H4 time frame. So this is going to be like a long hold swing trade. So I'm in these two positions at the moment. Where's my other position? Yeah, so I'm in these positions right now, and I'm actually monitoring it on the M30, M15 time frame, where I'm trying to just take advantage of this push, right? So we see price somewhat formed a resistance right here. Maybe I could get rid of these things right here, right? So price somewhat made of a resistance right here. Wait, let me mark off negative 27%. Now get rid of this fib. So point A to point B. Um, so I'm waiting for a retrace, right? Let's see where we might find confluence. We might find confluence somewhere in this area where price made a resistance. So we can wait for price to come back and test this resistance to now make it support. And then we can ride that wave. So I'm looking for a scaling position somewhere around here. You know, stops is going to be below the zone. And I'm going to ride this to H4, negative 27%. Or I may, just get a quick day trade and aim for, a 1 to 8, maybe a 1 to 7, depends on how steep the trend is, how steep the retrace is, how steep I might get in, where my entry is, all depends. So I'm looking for something like this at the moment. So I'm waiting for a retrace at the moment, right? For UJ. And we can ride that and just, take it up to negative 27% on the H4 time frame. Let's move on to AU. AU is sloppy. This is disgusting. This is just consolidation. I was trying to mark up something, but um it just looks disgusting. I don't even know what to do with AU at the moment. I see it created a support level right here. Overall, AU is in a downtrend, right? I mean, it's currently in a uptrend, but on the weekly, this is a downtrend, right? So we have a fib here, step on a fib, point A to point B. The retrace is currently at 50% right now on a weekly time frame. I have this zone right here that is like a supply zone. It's not like a supply zone. It is a supply zone. And we have liquidity laying above marked off right here where price grabs liquidity. So price already grabbed liquidity above here. And what we're waiting for right now, what we're anticipating is a break after this support level is created. So we should see more bullish momentum, maybe a break of this support, a retrace to continue the trend down, right? So that's the current outlook for AU at the moment. Let's go on to GU. So I remember last week where we looked at GU. Price currently still playing around this resistance zone on a weekly time frame, where if price really wanted to break it, price would have broke it, right? It would have straight broke it. Now but it did not, right? So price did not fully break this. So it's bullish, bearish, and now this is kind of like a doji. So this is just sideways movement at the moment, right? In the daily time frame, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of consolidation. So price is confused around this area at the moment, right? So maybe it wants to test it. It's looking like this may be a lower high point right here. But all we can do right now is just wait, right? Wait to see what price want to do. What I will look for in this market is a break of this support zone, a retest for a lot, lower high point, somewhat of a lower high point. It doesn't even have to be this steep to then continue bearish, right? Because this is a high probability, this is just a high price area for GU at the moment. So let's mark up the support zone right here. Not support zone, support level. So this is support right here. And we want a break and we want a retest to then take a trade, something like this. Right, and aim for 1 to 3 risk to reward. And that's my outlook for GU. That's it for the moment. Let's check out GBP CAD. Our GBP CAD been moving kind of like lately. No, it has not. Let's check out EU. Okay, so we have some structure on EU where price broke support, price broke resistance, sorry. Point A to point B. Retest was 50% retrace. And now on the H4 time frame, I guess you can just ride that wave and take advantage of all these lower high points. Lower high point right here, lower high point right here. This was a lower high point also, but this was just tested. Right. So if you place your support line right here, you got bullish, doji, you got bearish, doji, bullish, right? Just tested. So you can even took advantage of this right here. Stops there. You can even take TP at the same high point, or you can hold it and aim for negative 27% for 1 to 7, right? But at the moment, if you're not in this trade, right, let's take this off. So if you see price broke resistance right here, it's slap on the fib, point A, point B. So you see price is currently consolidating around the 61.8%. Maybe it's because it's not London session or New York session at the moment. So you want to wait for momentum to get into the market, and even, excuse me, you want to wait for momentum to get into the market, and even wait for a price to break this zone and just straight target negative 27%. So if I was to take advantage of this trade, which I will be monitoring it, we're at a retest of this our MAs. So I will look for something like this, where if I get a bullish candle to break, I'm targeting negative 27%. Negative 27%. So that's my outlook for EU at the moment. All right. So yeah, high low point on the, so even on the H4 time frame, we're just waiting right now for price. So we could delete this actually. We're waiting for price to establish some form of a support on the H4 time frame, and then we can go down to a smaller time frame such as M30 and look for, just structure. Once it start creating higher highs and higher lows, you take advantage and ride this to negative 27%, as I stated before. So that's my outlook for EU at the moment. And I think that is it. Yeah, that is it. So thank you guys for rocking with me. Tuning in weekly for these breakdown. I will be dropping a breakdown on Sunday. So I think I'm going to start doing these Sunday and a midweek breakdown to see if the trades is playing out as we anticipated. And thanks again for rocking with me. I'm in New York, noisy ass New York City, and that's about it, man. Hope you guys catch one of these trades from my breakdown, make some money, and don't forget to enjoy life, and don't forget to go out, enjoy. You don't trade to sit behind a computer all day. You trade to make some money, pay your bills, take care of your family, but more importantly, enjoy life. Just to remind yourself what you have, to remind yourself what you're doing it for, right? And, enough of my rant or my lectures, but that's about it, man. Thank you guys for rocking with me.